source.
Anyway, right, so makes sense to everyone. SVN move, new in Subversion, CVS did not have a way to do this. If you want to rename a file, there you go. And Subversion remembers the revision history of the file after you move it. It remembers it used to be called something else. So this is a wonderful thing.
That is probably one of the major reasons why you would want to make a move out of CVS.
Well, yeah. I mean, and like I said, all of this kind of stuff, like the inability to rename files in CVS and directories and so on, really sucks when you branch. Okay, it's workable if you're one guy developing a thing, minor pain in the ass. But when you need to branch and merge.
So after you move, if you recall an old revision, what happens?
The file gets renamed to the original thing. Yeah. That's proper. You know what I'm saying?
That's excellent.
Yeah. All right. Put a smile on my face. And so, SVN move, SVN commit. Bang bang. It's a 1-2 punch. Conflict, the C word. It's not a 4-letter word, but it is to every CVS and Subversion developer. I mean, people using them, not people actually writing them. And SVN up. I see a C, I'm like, oh shit. What C? Because you don't see them very often. You don't see them very often in CVS, and you see them even more rarely in Subversion. Because CVS and Subversion try to be your friend. They try to auto-merge things. You don't need to worry about this crap. This is, when you have more than one developer working on something, you need that stuff to be handled automatically, because if Zev's off on vacation, and I need to call him up and say, what the hell did your change to this file mean? I mean, what am I supposed to do with it, All is not lost. All right, CVS, you can resolve conflicts, but it's pretty primitive compared to Subversions, okay? This is the CVS way. You open the file in a text editor, and it has this jank in there, and you merge it manually. Subversion lets you do that. This means that this is from the working copy. This means that this is from revision 11 from the repository. The equals lines delimit them, so this stuff is the only difference. So I put a fancy title in my working copy, but someone else has put a title in revision 11 of the repository, and Subversion can't handle merging ASCII art. I mean, I don't know why. Wasn't there an ASCII art filter? I mean, come on. You know what I mean. All right. So, and to resolve this conflict, let me go back here. All right, if I like this, I just delete this line, okay? DD, well, here I would do like 5DD. Isn't it great after you use DI for a while, you just can count line numbers and characters in your head magically? That's the only thing I like about DI.
I disagree.
Okay. Yeah, WC is running in your head. Okay, I told you. More often than not, and in this previous case, everything was the same about those two files except for the header, right? So the other thing I can do is I can say that my copy is the one I want. I don't want anything from the repository revision because it's no good. So just copy haiku.text.mine, original file. When Subversion hits a conflict, it creates these files with a mine extension and an R11. Oh my God!
This is probably one of the greatest.
Yes. I mean, these guys are. So, now note that this is not a Subversion copy. Okay, you are doing a Unix level file copy in your working directory. You're saying, I want my file to become the new one. Or if you like the repository one, do the other. And then, okay, no, that's not a SVN copy. And then just, before you commit, just tell Subversion that you've resolved the conflict. All that does is it cleans up the temporary files. So it's not strictly necessary, but if you don't do it, you'll have temporary files lying around, which gets confusing. So, and I prove this by saying haiku.star, and the only one I see is the text file. And then I commit, bang. I thought there was another way to resolve conflicts, but it doesn't matter. Those two are good enough. The CVS way and the Subversion fancy way. And note that there is no reason you can't go in and edit the haiku.txt file. You do whatever you want to it and then say SVN resolved. I mean, you don't just have to resolve the conflict. I mean, to do more, usually you don't want to do more, but I mean, there's nothing magical about this. You're editing a text file and then you're committing it. The SVN resolve just cleans up all the temporary junk. Okay, properties. I told you that Subversion keeps metadata under revision control. Well, that's what properties are. Properties, it's really just a container. I mean, you say the property, the value, and then the files that I want this property to affect. So, for example, let's say I say copyright property on every file in my trunk. There I go. And it appears, this is strange, but it appears that propset by default is not recursive. Okay, so there's another command. Anything that could potentially affect masses of commands, I guess you don't do. And then I commit, and it goes, let's see if I've actually got a, I didn't show it. Okay, if I were to run svn stat-u right here, let's say that I've made some other change to haiku.txt, okay? Then I've also set this property on it. What it's going to look like in svn stat-u is it's going to show two u's side by side. Because one of them means that a metadata update has been made by me. Actually, it's not u, is it? It's m. Yeah. Anyway, two m's side by side. So one means the contents of the file have been modified locally. One means properties have been modified locally. So that's cool because it lets you know that something else is going on. Now, when it's just a property, it's not as obvious because there's just an m, and I mean, who actually counts the columns? Right. Okay. To list properties, just do svn prop list on a file. There's my example. I just got copyright. To display the value of this properties, prop get or prop list -- verbose. Either one will work. Change properties, just use prop set again, overwrite it, or use prop edit. It doesn't really matter. To delete properties, prop del. And special properties. All right, these are cool. Want to use DOS style new lines? Go ahead. Now, these are magical because they start with svn colon. So do not ever invent your own property and put it in the svn colon namespace. Because there's no magic about the namespace, but if you never know that might be a real Subversion property, and that might mean something like horribly mangle this file when I commit it. All right, so svn executable, I told you there was a way to have it set the execbit. That's it. That means every time you check out a file, its execbit will be set. So that's for your Perl scripts. I don't know what the hell that is. MIME type is self-explanatory. svn ignore is cool. CVS could do this. If you have a bunch of files in a certain directory that are not under revision control, let's say your macro files are under revision control, but what's generated from them aren't, and you often generate them in your working directory, and you want Subversion just to forget about that shit. That's what ignore does. Yep.
External, I think, is for pulling from a separate repository. When you check out, pull a separate repository.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So you could basically have kind of a branch.
Yeah, or you could have shared libraries.
So theoretically, as the original question was, you could have a shared library as an repository, but say it's merging from that.
I think the catch is you can't check it in to that repository. You can check it into your base, the one that you're editing, but you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, a really interesting thing about working copies is there's nothing stopping you from checking out shit from other repositories into your working copy. You probably don't want to do it, but there's nothing stopping you. So if you want 3 files from your shared library project in your application project's working directory, go ahead, just be careful. SVN keywords. The reason that binary files are such a pain in the ass in CVS is because it does keyword substitution by default, I believe. SVN does not. Okay. If you want that, you add the keyword properties, and I think